Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to be talking about the Vedam's Emulex Express Config solution for OpenStack iSCSI. What we did in this project, what we added to the OpenStack Kilo release, and how it benefits customers using iSCSI hardware acceleration. What we did for OpenStack for Kilo release, the changes we made went into OpenStack Nova and Cinder components, and this is really for manufacturers who are using CNAs that does hardware iSCSI acceleration. They can play now in the OpenStack ecosystem. iSCSI hardware offload obviously allows for better performance for your iSCSI packets and for all the iSCSI translations. iSCSI hardware offload control. So this particular CNA supports both software iSCSI and hardware iSCSI. So there is a nice mechanism where we can choose which function we really want to use. Do we want to use the software network adapter for iSCSI, or you want to use the hardware accelerated PCI function of the CNA? And we also added a feature where after mapping all the volumes, creating volumes and attaching it to instances, we have a nice tool that will display what are all the volumes in Nova that are really being managed by your hardware acceleration and what are not. So you really will you can figure out, am I really getting the advantage of using hardware acceleration? And then this particular CNA is a multi-function adapter. It has 4 PCI functions. 2 of them are straight network functions, and 2 more are the iSCSI hardware acceleration functions, which can be used both as initiator as well as a target. So I have some slides that show how we can switch between these two, and the firmware supports both modes. The slide is a little bit too small to see, I guess, but on the right side, what we see here is all the Cinder nodes, and on the left side is the compute, the Nova nodes, and all the instances. The modification we made, the Cinder helper driver we added was the SCST Cinder helper driver, right in that blue box, SCST Cinder helper driver. Prior to Kilo release, SCST was not there. There was support for LIO, TGT, but some of the CNAs use SCST for doing iSCSI, and we had to add an SCST Cinder helper driver that will work along with LVM driver, and then you could use just a JBOD, a bunch of disks on your node. You can configure LVM on top of it to create virtual volumes, and then you create the real volumes which will get exposed as iSCSI targets using SCST. So that is the use case, and to get that solution working in an OpenStack environment, the key thing we had to add was the SCST Cinder helper driver. On the you can also have a storage array that kind of does expose some kind of a block device to your Cinder, which can then be exposed as iSCSI targets to Nova. There are multiple configurations which I will go through in the next few slides. And where the CNA specifically sits, it can sit on your Cinder node as an iSCSI hardware target providing acceleration. It can also be configured to sit on the initiator node, and it provides hardware acceleration for initiator. So this is a multi-personality card. It can be configured either way. And this is a small tool for this particular adapter, where we choose the personality of this adapter on whichever host it's going to be running. If it is going to be running on the Nova compute side, then we just have to select, the first one will be what node it is. It's a compute node. And we also want to tell, hey, do you want to have acceleration enabled or disabled? I mean, there's no reason why people will say, I don't want acceleration. If it is there, they'll as well go and use it. So they'll checkbox even the hardware acceleration for the compute side. And these are some parameters they have to enable so that the Open iSCSI and initiator side can use the IP addresses it wants to communicate for iSCSI. On the target side, the target driver needs to know the IP address is going to communicate. So that configuration information will be specified in the next few fields. Yep, so that is the compute node or storage node. And next is you want acceleration or you don't want acceleration. And these are the configuration parameters. Some of the supported use cases and topologies. The first case is a simple one where on Cinder you're just going to use the regular block devices, the internal hard drives that come with the storage with the server, and you're going to use LVM on top of it, and then SCST stack is going to be installed on top of it, which is going to use the SCST helper driver to expose these block devices as iSCSI block devices. That's the first simple use case, where in this case I think you would need two adapters, one providing hardware acceleration for the target and the second one providing hardware acceleration for the initiator. The next use case is we will be using hardware acceleration only on the initiator side, and the storage aspect of things comes from your traditional regular iSCSI array. So typically you'll have a HP or IBM or any storage array which has a supported Cinder driver that will be configured on the Cinder nodes. And then on the initiator side, you want to use the power of hardware iSCSI acceleration. So you'll just use this adapter for the initiator only. And we saw there might be a third use case where some people may have a faster RAM devices like the SandBlaze or flash-based arrays that they have a big array, but they want to manage it through Cinder and then expose iSCSI to the initiator. So we have that also will work, where using the traditional fiber channel or iSCSI, they connect this fast array onto the Cinder node, and then use on top of it, they can use the SCST Cinder driver plus the LVM driver and create iSCSI targets, which will then get exposed to the Nova side. So these are three different use cases that this particular hardware can come in handy and can be useful. So we ran a bunch of performance tests comparing standard Intel 10 gig NIC, the Emulex Avago iSCSI hardware acceleration CNA device in software mode and in hardware mode. And here some of the numbers. I mean, we saw typically like we did a bunch of mostly like FIO based tests with varied amounts of reads and write percentages. And this is example graphs that show the clear advantages you get when you're using hardware acceleration for both target and initiator. So here we had multiple initiators and a single target port that can drive all the I/O, and we were able to get close to 9.4 gigabits per second bandwidth throughput through the iSCSI pipe. Same thing with IOPS and response times. There was clearly a good differentiation that we saw when we used hardware versus software. And this slide kind of summarizes the different performance benefits we can get using this particular CNA. And so in order to integrate this solution in your environments, what you would need the Emulex hardware. This is the OCE 14000 family of adapters, which supports 10 gig Ethernet, and I think future, I mean it's coming soon, they have even 40 gig Ethernet adapters with iSCSI hardware acceleration. So this will be the hardware. It can be set up in both a target mode or initiator mode. And these are the software packages that need to go with this hardware solution. So on the and This will all be installed on the Cinder node. You would need the OpenStack Kilo release because that has the support for the SCST Cinder helper driver. And also it has all kinds of iSCSI drivers, SCST drivers and plugins required for it. This solution was validated, tested on a Red Hat 7.x enterprise Linux operating system. The SCST stack itself is, I believe, open source. So we can download that particular software stack that is going to run the SCST software. Plus, this particular adapter has its own SCST based iSCSI driver that goes along with the SCST stack that is going to provide the solution. And in order to select whether you want it to be an initiator or a target, we provide a Linux configuration utility, which you just run and change the personality of the adapter. You want it to be running as a target or as an initiator. And then if it's a target, install that adapter on the Cinder node. If it is initiator, put it on the Nova node. Then we showed already the configuration where you tell you want to use the software acceleration or hardware acceleration. So you have a good amount of control there, how you want to really use this adapter. And then the Emulex target driver is really the SCST target driver that comes with this particular adapter. That will be set up again in the Cinder node, so that all the SCST commands that are going to create an iSCSI target, provide an iSCSI mapping back to the host, all those commands are going to run through that stack using that driver, using the hardware acceleration on the target side. And this provides a couple of links where you can find how we can set up and use this particular solution. The solution information contains all kinds of test results, performance test results, what are the benefits of using it, the use cases, and some configuration solutions that we tested. All that information is available in like a white paper blueprint kind of document, which you can download. Also, all the drivers that were listed there, the CNA drivers, the SCST packages, the utilities, all can also be found at the software accessibility website. And this is available for the Kilo release because all the code was integrated into the Kilo release. And I believe that's pretty much the end of the presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you.